I think what you're going to see here today is a true game changer. This is one of the most disruptive technologies that we've come across in some 28 years as an incubator and accelerator.
Start off, we're going to do just a quick overview of the problem, what we have developed as a solution, and then the applications for the technology. And then we'll fire up one of the engines here for you real quick. We have that's what's buzzing in the background is the analyzer. We'll put that in the exhaust so you can see that there are no emissions coming out, so you are safe with this engine running in here in this closed space. And then we'll have the mayor and the county executive, and we have Kimberly Gibson from EWI here for some comments, and then after that we'll open it up for some questions. So let's go ahead and run down through. What's the problem out there right now? The reason that we went after this technology is small engines are the worst polluting engines that are out there right now. They produce an enormous amount of hydrocarbons, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. They are absolutely the worst polluters that are out there. For every one automotive engine that is built, 4 to 5 small engines are manufactured. The Clean Air Act mandates that manufacturers reduce their emissions by right now. The problem is they can't get there yet because of the technology that's available. We believe we've addressed that issue for them. We think we have a solution right now, and the solution is our mixing block, which you'll see here on the technology in just a moment. The technology allows the engine to run on 100% hydrogen, and that's industrial grade. It's not lab pure hydrogen. It's cheaper to fuel. It transfers over multiple engine sizes. That's an exciting piece about the technology. Rick Ciccone is the inventor of the technology, and we're going to have him do some demonstrations here on the engine. But one of the things that he did in this process was he created something that has transferability with the technology. So this engine is a 6.5 horsepower engine. That's a 9 horsepower engine. We've gone up to 13 horsepower. We believe we'll be able to get up to 30 horsepower. We just haven't gone that far in the process. But it transfers from engine to engine. It's less expensive to manufacture and assemble. Our device has roughly 40 parts to it. Carburetors have 60 plus parts to it. Fuel injectors have anywhere from 133 parts or more. It extends the life of the engine. Because there's no carbon in hydrogen, it doesn't plug the plugs. It doesn't contaminate the oil. The oil stays clean. It has an enormous amount of benefits from the maintenance side of the engine. It virtually eliminates the need to change oil. This engine has over 700 hours of operating time on it. During the question and answer, I'll open it up. I'll show you the oil. It's as clean as the day the engine came to us with the oil in it. We've never changed the oil. It provides near zero emissions, so it's pretty exciting. What do we do with it? Now that we've got it, what can we do with it? The applications are many. Every one of these listed categories up here, the technology can apply to: portable generators, standby generators, golf carts, outdoor power equipment, ATVs, right on down the list, farm engines, construction vehicles. Many manufacturers in the United States producing these different types of devices or applications, many foreign manufacturers. For a military application, it has a lot of possibilities. We've had some folks in that have brought a great suggestion to us we didn't even think about, but submarines, ships, the Navy. Folks are in those hulls of those ships or in those submarines, and they're working, and they've got power that needs in those areas. You can run that right next to the person doing it. You're not going to asphyxiate them. You're not going to give them any kind of a health issue breathing in foul fumes because it doesn't put any out. With that, the last application and a point I want to make is, with alternative energy, everybody asks, why aren't you doing something with the automobile? We chose this route for 2 distinct reasons. One, the problem exists right now. The regulatory issue that's out there, you've got to correct the problem, and it hasn't been solved yet. So we went after that. Secondly, there are more small engines than large engines manufactured, so it's a very, very large market. As you can see, the applications are many. But I use the analogy, to get to the top of the mountain, you have to learn to climb it. You can't just start at the top and then try to figure out how you got there. This way, we can integrate into the automotive technology. This is technology that's ready to manufacture right now. We don't have to wait until there's a local pump at the local gas station to give you a refill of your hydrogen. You can get this hydrogen right from a local vendor. Matheson Valley, any of the gas companies out there, they have it today right now. The cylinders are all manufactured right now. There's nothing special that has to be done to enable our technology to integrate out into the marketplace. So with that, I'm going to introduce and I'm going to say this and embarrass him in front of him, the genius behind this technology, because Rick is the one who literally made it happen, and he's done an extraordinary thing here today and deserves an enormous amount of credit for what's happened. And he's going to start the engine for you. Yeah, hydrocarbons, 0. Carbon monoxide, 0. NOx is 0. What's happened now is it started at 20 parts per million oxygen. It's come down to 12.9. There's no engine that we know of that when it's running and the exhaust comes out the tailpipe that produces oxygen. This is putting oxygen back into the air. A normal small engine like this, if it was running right now, the hydrocarbons run anywhere from 155 to 190 hydrocarbon parts per million. We're at 0.
Okay.
The reason this incubator exists, the reason that this city is so forward-moving in our economic development initiatives goes to this man right here. Ladies and gentlemen, the Mayor of Akron, Don Pasquale.
I wished I was a better historian, because I would say I feel like the guy who took the call or made the call, whichever one it was, from Alexander Graham Bell, like Eureka or something. I don't know, there's probably a historical word, something that I should say, because I feel like most of you probably sitting here witnessing this, that it is a remarkable day to look at this machine and see that someone has solved the problem, much the same as Alexander Graham Bell did with communications. I just can say congratulations.
You know, I look at something like this, I know how many years, how many hours, how much time you guys put into this to get this done right. You could have walked away a long time ago and done something else, but you stuck with it to make this a better society and to make Akron a better place. And so for that, thank you.
It's my pleasure now to introduce to you Kimberly Gibson. Kimberly's here from Columbus, representing EWI, the Edison Bowling Institute. Just a real quick piece with the Institute. Henry Cialone, the director of the Institute, came up to see the technology a little over a month ago. Actually vetted it for us, was very excited about it, and has been a great partner going forward with the ability to integrate this where it needs to go. So we're very, very excited. Kimberly?
Thank you. This breakthrough in the small internal combustion engine is truly remarkable. Each year, EWI selects a handful of small companies that we want to work with and help them mature their technology, help them insert their technology into the marketplace. And this year, Hydrogen Energy Systems is one of those companies that we chose. We are excited to have them join the ranks of EWI membership and to get the support of 140 engineers with 7 to 10 years of industrial experience and a whole lot of exciting ideas for you. The innovation that Hydrogen Energy Systems announces today fills a market demand that we have seen in the United States and across the world for reliable, cost-effective, safe, and clean power generation. The success of this small engine, I don't want to overstate this, but I want to say that the success of this small engine could help jumpstart the hydrogen economy by generating a market for hydrogen that's supplied in cylinders by many other great Ohio companies as well. So we see this as a giant leap forward. We don't need to wait for government to pay for infrastructure for the new clean energy economy. We have it right here. We have it right now.
At this point, before we get into the questions, there are a couple people Rick and I absolutely have to acknowledge. Indulge us if you would, please. When you start a project like this, the biggest word you hear is no, can't be done, can't be done, can't be done. So people like Rick and I 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night at the shop working. And trust me, I just through this process learned which end of the wrench to use. Rick is the genius behind this. He's the guy that makes it happen. But I have to tell you, we have a great support system. We have two of the best partners we could ask for in Kevin Davis and Rosemary O'Hara. We certainly appreciate them and all they do. But the families behind the two of us are pretty incredible. And Rick's wife, Gina, has been extraordinary. I wasn't going to do this. But I have to also say that I have three really, really super cheerleaders in my life. My wife, Cindy. Anybody who has a partner in life, I wish to God you had someone like my Cindy with you. I hope that for all of you. My son, Jordan, my daughter, Katie, two fantastic individuals. I love them to death. My mother is here. My brother is here. He never thought I'd amount to anything, so ha-ha. And he tells me frequently. But we just have to say thank you to our families. With that, we're going to go ahead and open it up to any questions that you might have about the technology. Yeah, Kimberly.
What kind of torque are you getting out of this engine for some of the more power uses, like ATVs and others?
Yeah, that's a great question, because we're able to match the manufacturer's specifications depending on the size of the engine, depending on the compression in the engine. There's several factors that you can work with. But I appreciate the question, because all of those tweaks and adjustments happen right at the manufacturer right now. They don't have to retool their factories to introduce this technology to their technology, because if it's coming down the line, they'll grab a 8.5 to 1 piston or a 10.5 to 1 piston, whatever's already there, and the technology is able to do it. We have another announcement coming later in the summer that will take the torque and the horsepower and everything absolutely off the table. It's not even a question after that. Bob?
Jeff, you mentioned when we had discussions earlier of how this helps in disaster situations and how many people actually do dumb things with generators.
Yeah, that's a great. Thanks, Bob. We found out, we had no idea until we actually got into the research of this. There was a U.S. Health report that came out. Over 500 people a year die from improper use of just the portable generator. People think because it's a generator, it's electricity, I'll put it in my basement or I'll put it in my garage and I'll run it. Well, the problem is it's poisonous gas, and it can kill you or cause severe long-term health issues. With this technology, you literally can, well, you'll see it. We'll be standing here. There's nothing that's going to cause you to have those kinds of concerns. One avenue we'd like to chase, we haven't started it yet, but if anyone here can help us with that, we'd appreciate it. But if you're an insurance underwriter, if I have a home and I put a fire alarm and a burglar alarm and carbon monoxide detectors and what have you, I can get a little bit of a break on my insurance premium. Well, what would be any different than this? If you're an underwriter and your customer calls you and says, hey, Mr. Underwriter, I've got a hydrogen power generator now that doesn't kill me if I run it, your risk goes down. Could my homeowners go down a little bit as a result of it? Because I've gone the extra mile to protect myself, my family, my home, etc. So that's another avenue. There are so many different directions that this technology will filter into. We're pretty excited about those opportunities. So, anybody else? John?
Jim, maybe you or Rick can talk to the effects of carbon-based fuels on the wear and longevity of engines.
Sure. Rick? A carbon and how it tears down an engine. And then
Oh yeah, the carbon, a carbon in an engine is actually like a piece of gravel or a piece of sandpaper in an engine, and it actually floats through the oil the whole time. So the more that motor actually runs, the more it's just breaking down the engine. So with no carbon, there's no wearing. So it actually, there's no oil changing to do, there's no spark plugs to change, there's no carbon. So actually that motor that we said, that Jeff said it was 700 hours that ran on it, that motor was only by the manufacturer spec supposed to only run 125. So we're way over the 120, and at the 125 there was so much carbon that's been in the oil and so much breakdown that it actually starts emitting more pollutants out of it. So then it still runs, but it's beyond what it needs to be, and they say it's done. So right now, we have 700 hours on it, and she's still running pretty good.
Because there are so many lawnmowers in America and around the world, what kind of cost is this going to add to the average mower?
It'll be right in competitive with it. Give you an example on the generator. That engine, we could if we were to start today, we can produce that generator competitive in the market right now. That's a 5,500 watt, what's called an IC, industrial commercial engine. They range, if you go to Northern Supply or whoever you would buy it from, they range anywhere between $2,000 and $2,800. $2,000 is sort of a no-name brand, and the $2,800 is up around the Honda. It's a Honda type engine. We are within that range. We could, depending on the volume and who we're dealing with, we could sell at the low end, we could sell at the high end, and still be profitable because our cost to manufacture that is competitive. So you're not, in other words, well, and I'm glad you asked that question, because one of the biggest things that we ran into early on in this process is, everybody says, okay, so it's alternative energy. I can't have my $299 lawnmower costing me $600 because guess what? No one's going to buy them. You might have that small percentage who wants to be environmentally sound and can afford it. They'll buy them.
That's the reason why we did what we did.
Right.
We tried to make it so it was competitive. So when we made the product, we had to say, okay, it has to cost this or less, and we actually came less.
Right. For example, the actual mixing block, when you come up, you'll see it closer. There's 40 parts to that mixing block. It costs less to manufacture than a carburetor or a fuel injector. Right there, in and of itself, if you're the manufacturer, I would think you would be interested in pursuing that. So that's what we're hoping will happen.
Where would you like this to go? What is your business goal?
Well, actually, we're looking at either joint ventures with any of these folks here who already manufacture the products, integrate with them, or license agreements to the intellectual property that's surrounding the technology. There's so many, as you can see, avenues that we can go into. We would partner with HES Marine joint venture, or whatever would come along as an example. So either joint ventures or licensing of the technology.
Are we looking to manufacture? No.
We will manufacture the mixing blocks so that we can control that process, and then whatever that partnership goes from there, we're interested in talking to those folks. Thanks, everybody.
There's safety stuff and everything that actually goes on there. And this is fitting right.
Send it outside some of the schools.
That's what happens in like Florida and stuff like that.